The night split open with the sound of a young girl's footsteps pounding across a cracked motel parking lot, the kind of place where shadows linger too long and neon lights flicker like dying stars. She was running, sprinting, barefoot, breath shaking, eyes wide with the raw terror of someone who had finally seen enough darkness to risk everything for escape. Behind her, a man burst out of room 12, cursing, yelling her name with the venom of ownership rather than concern. She didn't look back. She couldn't. Her trembling hands gripped a torn backpack, one strap ripped, the zipper broken, everything about her telling the story of someone who had held on for too long and finally snapped. On the far end of the parking lot, where the air throbbed with the low growl of idling engines, four massive Harley-Davidson motorcycles turned their chrome heads slightly, as if alert at the same moment. The bikers, men with heavy jackets, worn boots, and expressions carved by life, stopped mid-conversation and locked eyes on the scene unraveling before them. They didn't know her name. They didn't know her story. But every instinct told them something was terribly wrong. Before the viewers dive deeper into this emotional journey, they are invited right here, right now, to like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name if they believe that kindness, courage, and second chances can still change the world. Because sometimes, all it takes is one moment for someone to step in, for a life to turn around. What happened next would become the turning point the teen girl never saw coming, the kind of moment that tests hearts, shapes destinies, and reminds us that angels don't always have wings. Sometimes, they ride Harleys. The girl's name was Lila Carver, a 16-year-old with tangled brown hair, dirt-smudged cheeks, and the exhausted posture of someone who had spent far too long pretending everything was fine. 4 months, she had been staying at that rundown motel with her mother's boyfriend, a man whose charm rotted into cruelty as soon as doors closed and blinds were drawn. He wasn't supposed to be her guardian, he wasn't supposed to be anything. But when Lila's mother passed away unexpectedly, he had stepped in not out of love, but convenience, control, and the eerie hunger to own whatever pieces of her life still remained. Lila had survived the emotional neglect, the shouting, the endless accusations and threats. But tonight, it crossed a line she could no longer ignore. Something broke inside her, something that whispered, if you don't run now, you will never run again. So she bolted, clutching what little she owned. Her heart raced with panic and hope, two forces fighting inside her chest. The bikers watched her stumble across the lot, watched her legs nearly collapse under her, watched her pull herself back up with the stubbornness of someone who still believed freedom might exist somewhere in the world. The man chasing her was twice her size, shoulders broad, face red with rage. He didn't shout in worry. He shouted in possession, blaming her even as he ran after her. The bikers exchanged a single glance, silent agreement passing between them like lightning. And then, without hesitation, they moved. The tallest one, a man in his 50s with silver hair braided down his back, stepped off his Harley and walked forward with grounded, steady steps. His name was Hawk, president of the Iron Shields Motorcycle Club. The others fanned out behind him, Bear, short and stout but strong as a wall, Trace, quiet and watchful, and Bullet, whose temper usually lit faster than reason. Together, they formed a line, their shadows stretching across the pavement like a barrier summoned by instinct alone. When Lila collided into Hawk's chest, it wasn't impact that made her tremble, it was the shock of feeling safe for the first time in months. He steadied her by the shoulders, looked down at her terrified face, and saw the truth immediately. Not the details. Not the story. Just the truth: pain, fear, exhaustion, and the desperate prayer for help. Behind her, the man finally caught up and realized whom he was running toward. His steps faltered. His bravado wavered when he saw the 4 bikers, unamused and unmoving, staring him down with the kind of calm that promised consequences. The moment hung in the air, heavy, tense, shifting. The motel's neon lights buzzed above them like artificial stars, casting red shadows on broken pavement. The night air smelled of gasoline, dust, and late-night uncertainty. Lila's breath came in sharp bursts as she tried to form words, but they tangled in her throat. She didn't need to speak. Her trembling was enough. The man attempted to regain control, claiming she was just acting out, claiming she belonged with him, claiming anything that might give him leverage. But every word he said exposed what he truly was: someone who had lost control long before tonight. Someone who probably never deserved any. Hawk didn't threaten him. He didn't raise his voice. He simply stepped forward, placed a barrier of unspoken strength between the man and the girl, and with a quiet, firm stare, made it clear that the conversation was over. The man's confidence dissolved. His excuses evaporated. And slowly, step by step, he backed away into the darkness he came from. Lila watched him disappear, her knees shaking harder now that the danger had passed. Sometimes fear is easier to hold than relief. Hawk lifted her torn backpack gently, as if it were made of glass. Bear removed his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. Bullet went to speak but paused, sensing that silence was more comforting than questions. Trace scanned the area to ensure the man was truly gone. And Lila, small, trembling, overwhelmed, finally allowed herself to cry. It was not quiet crying. It was not pretty crying. It was the sobbing of someone who had been holding the world together alone and had finally found a place to set it down. The bikers stood around her, forming a quiet shelter against the night. The Iron Shields brought her to their clubhouse, a place both rough and unexpectedly warm, with walls covered in photos of charity rides, community events, and faces that had once needed rescuing just like hers. They fed her, gave her a safe room, and let her really rest, for the first time in months. No questions. No pressure. No judgment. The next morning, Lila awoke to sunlight slipping through the curtains, warming her face. She sat up slowly, and used to softness. She felt the weight of the previous night sitting in her chest but also a strange lightness she didn't expect. Hawk knocked softly and entered with breakfast: oatmeal, fruit, toast, simple, comforting, kind. He sat across from her and told her something she hadn't heard in a while: whatever happened next would be her choice. The days that followed were full of quiet healing. She learned the clubhouse wasn't a place for violence or rebellion. It was a refuge. A brotherhood that believed in protection, not intimidation. A group who took care of those who slipped through society's cracks. They taught her small things: how to feel safe, how to breathe, how to exist without fear gnawing at her every second. For the first time since losing her mother, she felt like she mattered. But her journey wasn't easy. The man returned. Police got involved. The bikers stood by her side for every statement, every meeting, every detail she had to relive. Each step forward was painful, but it was progress. And she wasn't alone anymore. Her story reached local news when she bravely testified against the man, ensuring he would never hurt her or anyone again. The Iron Shields attended the hearing in full force, 24 motorcycles roaring outside the courthouse, a family she never expected. When Lila stepped out after the verdict, tears in her eyes, she found the entire club waiting for her. And in that moment, she realized she hadn't just escaped something. She had walked into a new life. She completed school with the help of the club's families, built confidence through therapy they arranged, and slowly, piece by piece, rebuilt herself. She wasn't the scared girl running through a motel parking lot anymore. She was Lila Carver, brave, steady, and healing. And for viewers listening now, if this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness can come from the most unexpected places, you are gently invited to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps channel name continue bringing meaningful stories of hope, courage, and second chances into the world. Before the ending, please comment below: I believe kindness still exists. Months later, on the anniversary of the night she met the Iron Shields, Lila stood outside the clubhouse. The sunset painted the sky in warm gold and soft pink, the same colors she imagined hope might look like. One by one, the bikers revved their Harleys in salute, filling the air with a thunderous, powerful sound, no longer frightening, but protective, alive, and filled with pride. Lila closed her eyes, feeling the vibrations in her chest, the warmth of belonging, and the whisper of her younger self finally resting. Her past had chased her, tried to claim her, nearly broke her. But her future arrived on the back of 4 rumbling motorcycles and grew into a family she never expected. Sometimes angels don't have halos or wings. Sometimes, they wear leather jackets and ride Harleys. And because of them, Lila Carver finally found her freedom.